I'm asked all the time, which town is better? Where should I live? Franklin or Brentwood? Well, I'll tell you what, let's duke it out. By the end of the show, you're going to know exactly which town is better for you, for your family. So, if that's of interest, meet you on the other side. Franklin and Brentwood are very different towns, very different little cities in Williamson County, which is in the Nashville SMSA. So when people talk about Nashville, there's not one place of Nashville to live. There's lots of places to live, lots of counties to live in. Each county has its own unique features. Each town has its uniqueness. So by the time that this show's over, I hope I've been able to explain a little bit about two of the areas that people ask me about all the time. Brentwood versus Franklin, and where should they live? What's the best place for them? I'm Susan Thetford with Parks Properties and the Nashville Redefined show. Here on this show, we talk about all things Nashville. So if you're considering a move to Nashville, relocating or investing your money here in your first home or your 31st home, then I suggest you go ahead and tap the bell so that you know every single time I do a new show, which is weekly, here on Nashville Redefined. Truly, we're getting so many people moving here to the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, and I really love it. As a native Nashvilleian, I have watched my area grow exponentially in those over 50 years. And although there's lots of changes, most of those changes have been phenomenal. So I'm really excited for people who are considering a move here to Nashville. I want everybody to have what I get to have, what my family gets to have. So if that's you, do what everybody else is doing. Call me, text me, send up those smoke signals, do whatever it takes. Reach out to me. Only way I can know how best to help you is if you reach out to me. So let's get to it. Nashville is an SMSA that is quite big. About 9 counties surround the entire Nashville SMSA, and each county has its own unique features. Now, what I'm often asked about is Williamson County. Williamson County is just south of Davidson County. Easy access straight up through 65 or Hillsborough Road, which changes its name several times, but easy access to get into Nashville. But it has their own uniqueness. They have own shopping, their own central business districts. You don't have to go into Nashville unless you have to go into Nashville to work. Each area is its own destination. Now, Brentwood is about halfway between Nashville and Franklin. Franklin is an old historic area, lots of history, dating back to the Civil War and pre-Civil War times. And if history is your thing, you'll want to at least visit Franklin and take a lot of the tours. The ghost tour is amazing. Go over to Carnton Mansion. It's a tangent I'm going off on, but you've got to check it out, no matter where you live in Middle Tennessee. Brentwood was really developed in the 60s and 70s. As I was growing up, I remember it being the large sprawling lots in the middle of nowhere. And then in the early 70s, to my memory, is when the interstate exchange came off of going north-south and gave access into Brentwood, which is when things really grew. Now in the 90s, when Maryland Farms opened up, and it was the first executive park, commercial office buildings, that's when that Brentwood area really grew and expanded. And it became known as where all the executives lived. The executives live there now. They lived there then. It has really grown up. It's a small little metro. Now, from Brentwood, go on down to Franklin, about 12 more miles, and you are in the little town of Franklin. Franklin itself now is enormous. And again, these are just 2 cities in the county of Williamson County. There are lots of great Williamson County cities and towns as well. But in this show, we're going to talk about which is better. Which is better, just Brentwood or Franklin? I believe before this show is finished, you will have a better feeling of which town might be a better fit for you. And as I say, regardless of where you decide to drop your anchor and live, you're going to want to visit both places. So come along. So let's just take a drive. We are going to Brentwood inside the city limits, coming from Franklin down Franklin Road. Brentwood is a suburb of Nashville, which is just south of Nashville in Williamson County. It is included in the Nashville Metro SMSA. The population has grown from when it was incorporated in 1970 from 3,700 to now it is 42,000 people in 2021. Brentwood is 41 miles in size and only has one zip code, which is 37027. It's a typically one house, 1 acre traditional home sites planned for growth specifically this way. The Brentwood home prices are not only among the most expensive in Tennessee, but Brentwood real estate consistently ranks among the most expensive in America. It is an overwhelmingly white-collar city. It's considered one of the best places to live in Tennessee because of the highly rated public schools, safety, proximity to Nashville, and has a very rural feeling. Most residents of Brentwood own their own homes. There is also only one rental apartment that is called Tapestry that just recently opened. Brentwood is the most family community and residential and tends to be very conservative. Niche.com rates Brentwood as number 1 best suburb to live in Nashville. I would disagree, honestly, with their B+ on the nightlife. There's not much. Everything stops after 9 o'clock for sure. The median home price is right at $655,000, and the national median home value is right under $217,500. Honestly, $700,000 is very difficult to find right now. If you were to find a home at that price in Brentwood, it will be an older home, maybe built in the 70s. It'll be on a large lot. It'll have 8-foot ceilings. Kitchens, bathrooms will not be updated. But primo location, beautiful yard, and probably amongst the least expensive that you're going to find here. Only 9% of any of the property in Brentwood is rental, and the median rent is right at $2,100. We are coming up on to the corner of Old Hickory Boulevard and Franklin Road, which takes you 1 block over to Interstate 65 to get into Nashville going north, or further south going down toward Franklin, Birmingham, places farther south. Brentwood is home to many corporate headquarters of large companies like Hobby Lobby, International, Tractor Supply, Osborne Hesse, Brookdale Senior Living, AT&T, Bank of America, Sony, U.S. Bank, Brave New World Records. It goes on and on. Why is this? Brentwood is actually developed because it's just a short commute from downtown, very little traffic into Nashville. Great place to raise a family. I'm pulling into one of the newer developments called Windstone. Now, the pricing here is not at all what I mentioned in the mid-6s. You'll be very fortunate to find one of the townhomes on the smaller lots right under $1 million, and it will go up to several million. To show you a very beautiful in Brentwood community of homes, to give you an idea of some of the variety that you may see. Some of the major luxury neighborhoods, and Brentwood is really known as the luxury neighborhood city. Princeton Hills, McGavock Farms, Belle Reve, Windstone, Omen Farms. The list does go on and on. The main commercial area of Brentwood is the city block called Town Center. It's pedestrian friendly, has the shops, restaurant, exercise communities, Nordstrom Rack, grocery shopping, Thursday farmers markets, pretty much anything you can find right here in Brentwood. It does have a lot of chain restaurants. It's not quite as local as Franklin is. Now let's take a look further south in Franklin. Still in Williamson County, Franklin is about 10 miles south of Brentwood. Niche.com ranks Franklin as number 2 best suburbs to live in the Nashville area. Now, Franklin covers a much larger area than Brentwood, at 21 miles in 3 separate zip codes. The population of Franklin is grown to 86,000 people, yet it retains the small town feel with the old world downtown central square, boutiques, non-chain restaurants, historic markers, street festivals. Franklin offers a dense suburban feel where most residents actually own their own homes. Because the public schools in Franklin are highly rated, many families and young professionals live here. They tend to run quite conservative. The median home value in Franklin is $412,000 as of recent records. The median rent is $1,481, which both are almost double the national medians. That monument, by the way, in this Franklin Square is called Chip. Hey, if you're enjoying this tours, tell me, where would you like me to go next? What would you like to see next? So, Franklin was developed along both sides of the Harpeth River and was mostly rural and agricultural until the 1970s. I frankly remember we used to just ride around the Franklin Square because my best friend lived here in Franklin, and there was very little to do here when I was growing up in high school, but we did cruise the square a lot. Despite all this recent growth and the rapid development in all directions of Franklin, it's still really noted for the older neighborhoods, the older buildings. It's heavily protected by city ordinances, and the street festivals and the life around here is dedicated in many ways to a lot of the history involved here in Franklin. In 1980, the population was only 12,400, and today it's up to 86,000. It is the eighth fastest growing city in the nation, according to the Census Bureau. There are several walking tours of the historic areas. You need to go to Carnton Mansion to see some Civil War history to really have it come to life. The Civic Center will give you walking tours. There's also tons of antique stores if you really enjoy that type of thing. There is no end to the places that you can see, stop, shop, and it's not the normal beaten path things that you would typically see in most cities. Here we're just traveling around some of the old parts of Franklin that is walking distance to 5 Points in the square. Now, when I mentioned before that the median price of homes in Franklin is $412,000, that is frankly not this area. That's when you get to the outer skirts, and even then it's very difficult to find with some of the changes that have occurred here in town. This is historic areas where, frankly, even just a lot, if you could find one and you can't, might cost $400,000 because of its easy access to everything. But if you could lock onto a great home to renovate, you've got yourself a little jewel. That house on the corner is one I am aching to be able to renovate. Somebody beat me to it. Franklin's not only known for its small town charm, its beautiful location in the rolling hillsides, easy access to so many outdoor activities with the Harpeth River between boating and fishing and kayaking and just summer swings and dropping off of trees. The things that you see in the Norman Rockwell kind of video. It's also home to many great businesses. Employment is very easy in Franklin. Franklin's home to many healthcare-related businesses, Nissan, Mitsubishi Motors, World Christian Broadcasting, Mars Pet Care, Ramsey Solutions, Lee Company, and many, many more notable businesses. This area is so family-friendly with 14 parks in and around Franklin. There's no end to the family fun, the sports that you can do in Franklin. Some of the main street festivals is Pilgrimage Fest,
Pumpkin Fest, Dickens of a Christmas, then so many other Williamson County music festivals that seem to pop up, lots and lots of farm stand garden centers. It's a pretty special place. What I'm showing you now is by no means the least expensive area, nor is it by any means the most expensive area, but this is very close to, about a 3-minute drive into downtown Franklin, just where we were. It is an area that was developed in the 90s. As you can see, it's not the typical that you see some of the new construction of the big white painted brick huge homes. This is the wide streets, mature trees, mature homes. They may not be as updated and flashy, all the rooms open to each other type of homes that you're seeing in the magazines now. This is more traditional in style. Still, this price point will start $900,000, take you on up to $1,213, depending on the degree of updates.
I really do get asked all the time, Susan, I've seen your videos. Should I live in Franklin or should I live in Brentwood? As you can see, there's a lot of differences, but there's not that much of a difference. It frankly comes down to several key factors. First one may well just be, how much money have you got? How new do you want your home to be? What size lot do you want? Do you work downtown? Do you work in Cool Springs? Do you work in Franklin? How far do you want to be from your children's schools? Will your children be in public school or private school? Do you have a preference? Do you have a need for different things in each school? There's so many factors that go into finding the perfect home for you, and it all begins with a conversation. So do what everybody else is doing. Give me a call, send me an email, send me a text. Let's talk about your specific, unique needs so that we can find the perfect home for you when you're moving here to Middle Tennessee. Until next week or next time, be blessed.